Hello and welcome to another Festival of Creativity, where we're joined by 9 more wonderful artists, 3 more wonderful sitters.
And we'll witness the creation of some wonderful works of art. Welcome to Portrait Artist of the Year.
Chosen for their exceptional talents, these artists have 4 hours to prove their creativity to be in the running for this year's grand prize. A £10,000 commission to paint world-renowned violinist Nicola Benedetti for the Scottish National Portrait Gallery.
5 of today's artists are amateur. Mark Oliver, Jacqueline Gartland, Natasha Eiderman, Ikra Tariq, and Mary Shepperson.
This is your first ever live sitter?
Yeah, it's surprisingly hard to get people to sit still for 4 hours unless you offer them money or threaten them with violence or something like that.
And 4 are professional. Nneka Uzogwe, Catherine Dorelli, Martin Burrow, and Adrian Hill.
I think it does quite look like her.
Oh, it looks very much like her, yeah.
Good, good. I'm glad I've got your seal of approval on that.
My seal of approval means nothing, as well you know. As the artists set up their equipment, the judges examined the self-portraits which earned them a place in the competition.
Well, here's today's wall, as great a variety as ever. Let's start with the one at the end.
It's like a Persian miniature that's just stepped out of an ancient manuscript, but then you look at the sitter and they look fairly contemporary.
It's really charming, but it's also quite powerful, I think.
It's quite a bold decision to say, I want to submit a self-portrait, so I'll slump on the floor surrounded by a lot of debris.
I think they know how we will react to it, and it brings that sort of fairy tale element. The poor artist stuck in the attic, instead of made to spin gold out of hay, she's got to make some paintings. And I think that's what we want our artists to do today.
This is just a painting belonging to a completely different era. It's executed so beautifully, and the tension between the softness of this face and the full detail of that shawl just hangs together beautifully for me.
I like that sort of space this painting inhabits. It reminds me of 20s, 30s travel maps, visit this part of the country, and it's sort of, I think it's an interesting balancing act of being realistic and stylistic, and it comes together very forcefully.
Well, here we have pink hair on a pink background.
I just get the sense that they're walking along in one of those underpasses, which are covered in great graffiti, listening to music, and they've just caught this fantastic photo and gone home and painted it.
It's all about attitude, isn't it? It is a sort of, here I am again, I've got to think of another interesting pose. And of course, it lives off the light that artist has sort of positioned very carefully.
Here we have a direct confrontation, I feel, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a kind of mugshot quality, but it's absolutely beautiful. I just love the way that the paint sits on the surface. And I like the faraway look in the eyes. They're looking way beyond us.
This painting makes me feel really cold. I can see the artist is really sort of muffled up with a scarf and his overalls.
Also, the colours are quite interesting. It's sort of turned up a notch.
Now, this is a very delicate piece that we have at the end here.
I can't get over how little is there. And I wonder whether we've got today an artist who will quietly think about every line that she paints in.
Well, there we are. Large, small, rich, colourful, a great range.
Artists, your sitter today is a world-renowned choreographer. She's been a judge on Strictly and on So You Think You Can Dance. Get ready to cha-cha-cha. It's Arlene Phillips. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, good. Well, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Obviously, as a dancer, as a choreographer, you're a ball of energy, Arlene. How are you going to sit still?
I have absolutely no idea. Other than when I'm asleep, I am never still.
Really?
Never, ever.
So what are you going to do, artist, with that? You're going to have to sort her out.
Sort me out.
I'll leave you in the hands of your artists.
Oh, my goodness. Hello.
Well, I've got a front-on view, so I think I'm really in the luck.
You wanted to turn slightly left or to the right, I guess you guys...
No, I think I'm going to work from a kind of a side profile.
You got my best side.
No pressure.
Artists, your sitter today is very much at home with competitions. He has a growing list of medals and awards, including a champion performance at the Paralympics. Please welcome powerlifter Ali Jawad.
Hello.
Well, you're very welcome here.
Thank you.
Now, you are a powerlifter. Explain how that came about.
Yeah, so basically, my friend kind of forced me to go to the gym across the road from my school. I started lifting some weights, I got found, and here we are, 15 years later.
Now, will sitting here for a long time and not moving yourself around, will that be difficult?
No, actually, probably good, because I'm always on the go.
Well, I hope you take great pleasure in it, because we're delighted that you're here. I leave it to you, artists.
Thank you. So do you want me straight on?
It depends which way you
You
look,
can
I suppose.
do a little bit here.
This way?
Yeah, a little bit.
Does that suit you?
Yeah, I think so.
Find a spot to look at?
Yep, found it.
Okay, good. Well, good luck.
Artists. For over 30 years, your sitter has taught us about the natural world in programmes like Springwatch and The Really Wild Show. Please welcome presenter, campaigner, author and naturalist, Chris Packham.
Thank you.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Firstly, fantastic shoes.
Well, yes, bit of a throwback, aren't they, to my misspent youth?
I love it.
You're talking to an old punk rocker, a
Okay.
man who once had blue, green and pink hair.
Now, obviously, the natural world fills your thoughts. Are you going to be taken to the natural world today in order to get through these 4 hours?
Well, you know what it's like working in wildlife TV? You're always waiting. And sometimes you're waiting for a long time for a badger to emerge or a bird to sing. So sitting still is not a problem if you're a naturalist.
Well, I'll hand you over to your artists. Good luck.
Thank you very much
Good luck.
indeed. I can't tell you how excited I am about this, because I have a really, really keen interest in painting.
So you don't paint yourself?
I do paint.
OK, I hope we don't disappoint you then.
Artists, you should have everything you need. You have 4 hours to complete your portraits. Your time starts now.
Okay, good luck. That's a great pose. Really good.
So, would you just look a little bit more over there? Yep, that's perfect.
Faced with a blank canvas, artists often choose to loosen up using paint or pencils. But for someone with a meticulous approach, you can't beat a bit of specialist kit.
I've got big compasses. I've got graining combs. There's a screen printing squeegee, some proportional dividers. I like angles and surfaces, so that's really quite handy for finding geometry.
Mark Oliver is an award-winning illustrator from Worthing. Having started painting to spend time away from working on a screen, he created his self-portrait which merges fine art with his background in graphic design.
Mark, I see you're breaking up the canvas into geometry.
I like to anchor things to lines and then get a little freer once I've kind of mapped it out. There's a very, very clean, an arc of a circle around the side of his face through to his neck, as far as that's how I see straight away.
So the geometry that you use is suggested by what's there?
Absolutely, yeah. So he seems to me to be sitting into that circle.
Now you mention, all I can see is that line from Chris's left side of the face to his elbow. It kind of comes right round. Well, look, it's smashing.
Thank you.
Carry on.
You're drawing with the paintbrush directly onto the board?
Yeah.
You haven't squared up or anything, so you're doing it by eye?
Yeah.
Is that the way you normally work?
Yeah, I didn't actually realise that people used a grid until I started watching Portrait Artist of the Year last year, because I've never had any training. I've never actually painted a live sitter before.
This is your first ever live sitter?
Yeah, it's surprisingly hard to get people to sit still for 4 hours unless you offer them money or threaten them with violence or something like that.
Mary Shepperson is an archaeologist specialising in the Middle East. More familiar with ancient relics than live sitters, she has a solid grounding in anatomy after drawing 200 skeletons at an Egyptian cemetery.
I'm really interested in the angle that you've got. Of course, you're seated, but you've sort of deified our wonderful sitter in Ali today. Was that a conscious decision?
Not really, it's just, I think, because I'm just used to sitting on a chair. But I think it works quite well with Ali because he's such a sort of powerful shoulders, and that being from below makes him look more, it sort of emphasises that.
I totally agree. You've turned him already into a hero.
I mean, I'd usually get off to quite a quick start, but there'll be a lot of endless flailing around with the mid-tones.
Well, you've got 4 hours. I want to know that you've got a plan, not too much flailing around.
Well, yeah.
Crack on.
Yeah.
Tell us about your training regime.
Yeah, so 5 days a week in the gym. Everything's geared up to make sure I can bench press as much as possible.
What's your personal best?
My best is 200 kilos.
What? That's heavier than me.
Since retiring from a career in insurance, Martin Burrow has spent the last 12 years indulging in his lifelong passion for art. He regularly takes commissions and paints every day in his studio.
Martin, you've started with this fantastic green colour.
Yeah.
Why was that?
It's a good contrast to flesh tones for a start, and I thought I wanted something that was really the opposite of the pink and the yellow. I love using colour. Every time anybody's criticised my work, it's always been tone it down, tone it down, tone it down.
How dare they?
And I try to resist that, but I do see the point.
And how are you feeling about time?
I'm pretty comfortable at the moment. I'm sure
Yeah.
there'll be moments of complete panic later on.
Wait, you wouldn't be the first, Martin.
Once they've established the position of the figure in the frame, some artists like to find out more about what makes their sitters tick.
Arlene, would you mind telling me what your favourite musical is?
My all-time favourite musical is West Side Story. And I loved choreographing Starlight Express. It was my first big musical, and I love it forever.
Amazing.
Nneka Uzogwe is a professional artist based in London. As well as selling her work in galleries and online, she's preparing for her first major solo exhibition.
Nneka, that wash you've put on the background there has given your painting an instantly atmospheric feel.
I like my paintings to have a sort of dreamlike quality, and I was talking to Arlene about her favourite theatre productions, and she mentioned Starlight Express and West Side Story. So I'm thinking of creating a theatre production behind her.
Do you need, like, models to be... Because Joan and I could be the Sharks and the Jets. Do a knife fight behind that work?
Perhaps, perhaps.
The artists have 3 hours left.
You can't really go wrong at this stage. You're just making marks, and it's fun. The really tense bit gets when you're having to put some detail in and trying to reach for the likeness. At this stage, that's not a worry.
It could be better, but it could be worse. Once I feel like I've got everything in the right place, then I'll feel a bit more under control, I think.
My strategy is get a really nice composition and then let my imagination run away with me in trying to create a beautiful painting.
At this stage, it's a balance. I can't force things into the geometry. Otherwise, it's not going to look like him. I've got to paint what's there, but find the geometry that's in it. See, it makes sense in my head.
Nine artists are painting naturalist and broadcaster Packham, Paralympic powerlifter Ali Jawad, and choreographer Arlene Phillips, whose image on one portrait is being framed in pools of colour, which are then dispersed across the canvas.
Adrian, you're just showing off.
I'm using the straw.
I know.
Imagine having to come on portrait artist and use a straw. It's basically this alcohol ink. The idea came accidentally. I was looking through some old photographs at home. There was 2 photographs that were stuck together, and I kind of peeled them apart. Yeah. And it left this sort of negative effect. And I thought, how can I replicate that?
It's funny how things come about by mistake often.
Having been inspired by Portrait Artist of the Year, Adrian Hill sold his computer games business to become a full-time artist. It's a decision he doesn't regret and has since enjoyed experimenting with a variety of styles.
You've got your inks here, but you also have your oil paints there. Are you saying you're going to mix this all up?
Yeah. This is going to dry in a matter of minutes, and then I'm going to paint on top of it, leaving just little passages of this showing through. So I'm kind of mixing some more traditional painting with a more contemporary.
I mean, look, carry on. I can't wait to see how this evolves, this strange
Thank you.
painting.
Chris has been a good sitter so far. He keeps still, and I don't know if he minds me saying this, but he's got nice wrinkles too. So, yeah, that's interesting to put down.
19-year-old Natasha Eiderman is a biomedical science student from London. Her self-portrait was painted from a selfie she took walking through an underpass, where she liked how the pink background matched her hair.
How's it going, Natasha?
It's going good so far. Just blocking in the main colours, and I'll go into details later on in the day.
OK. You going to give him pink hair?
You know what? I might. He mentioned something about
coloured
hair.
I mean, he literally gave you carte blanche there to use to get involved with some pink hair. He's got a good, strong look, hasn't he, to work from?
Yeah, very sharp features.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm pleased.
Chris is really interesting. I kind of feel like he has this sort of angular kind of thing going on, which I hope I can capture, but we'll see how it works.
Professional artist Catherine Dorelli created her self-portrait referencing a photograph and a mirror. Drawn to the darker elements in her painting, she chose a neutral background to emphasise the jet black of her dress. Now, you've got this very dark colour behind. Is that a problem?
I don't know. And I was thinking, yeah, this is great, but then it's kind of playing to my worst tendencies to just throw earth colours down, which isn't really great, because I just produce these very, very brown paintings if I'm not careful.
How much does the lightness matter, and does it come and go?
I suppose what I usually think is it's nicer to get something that's striking, but on the other hand, you have to kind of know it's them, don't you? Otherwise, it's kind of like, it's not really a portrait.
So this series, Kathleen, our backgrounds have been inspired by nature and the environment. What have we got today?
We've taken the cultivated land. We've got beautiful, rich, earthy soil. We've got the wonderful fields of rapeseed in a blue sky. And then we've also celebrating all the colours that you find in an allotment.
Ali has a tremendously strong look.
He's heroic. He's got these incredibly sharply defined features. And when you put that on top of that physicality and that suit, I think there's a lot there for his artist to sort of get into.
Arlene is obviously a choreographer.
Well, yeah, but for someone who's all about movement, she's been absolutely incredibly still, but, you know, not rigid.
And I mean, I'm worried Chris hasn't actually taken a breath for 2 hours.
I think Chris feels the responsibility, so he's sort of giving them good pose at the moment, but I'm hoping as the afternoon goes on that they'll strike up a conversation.
I'm quite disciplined when it comes to satisfying a task, and my mission today is obviously to satisfy the artist by sitting as still as possible. I take photographs, and when I'm at work, if people try and stimulate a conversation with me, they get a grunt for an answer. So aside from being still, I've been silent as well.
I think I want the artist to capture my physicality and my imagination. But, you know, I'm really excited because I imagine it's going to be 3 very, very different portraits.
Oh, it's amazing. Can't wait to see the different styles. Mary seems very focused, maybe a little bit nervous. With Martin, he's very chilled out, I think. Very chatty as well. And Ikra, like Mary, is very, very focused. I feel her style is quite detailed. So I'm actually looking forward to it because I just want to see the detail she goes to.
Ikra, it's lovely to see the colour come into your work, and you've responded so nicely to the sets.
Yeah, the colours are very bright, very joyful. It also complements with his dress.
Yeah, that grey against the pink is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about time? Your work is obviously very fine, very detailed.
I am nervous.
Ikra Tariq's style draws on the Mughal miniature tradition used to illustrate manuscripts in 16th century India. Using the tiniest brushes, her paintings can take months to create.
You did a beautiful frame in your submission. Are you going to have time to play with the framing around the outside?
It's a long process, so I have no time for floral design because if I manage to complete the portrait, this will be the achievement for me.
It's not every day artists have the chance to paint a famous sitter, and one is making the most of the opportunity.
Arlene, what's your favourite dance to do yourself?
At the moment is absolutely contemporary dance. With it comes a freedom.
It's not rigid to steps and stuff.
It's not, which was the way I was trained.
Amateur artist Jacqueline Gartland quit her day job to become a full-time mum. Now her 3 boys have grown up, she's found more time to dedicate to art and has started taking commissions.
Jacqueline, I wondered if you're one of those artists who puts a lot of the self-portrait into the portrait of other sitters, because I sort of see a mashup of you and Arlene there.
Oh, really?
Is that something you tend to do? No, it's a wonderful combination.
I don't know. I suppose it's just a gently kind of approach that I have.
And no temptation whatsoever to put the background in any form?
I may do a yellow around her, but...
like a halo?
Half the time I'm hard-pressed to put in hair. I mean,
It's coming together really well. Thank you.
Thank you.
The artists have just over 2 hours left.
Adrian, how are you getting on? So I've got all the underwork done. I've got a really good image for me to kind of colour in now. I think it does quite look like her.
Oh, it looks very much like her, yeah.
I'm glad I've got your seal of approval on that.
My seal of approval means nothing, as well you know.
I don't perfect the face before I move on to the background. The face will need heightening once I put the background in, so really do just need to get the right contrast.
I'm a bit worried about leaving the background too late in the clothes, which is a bit of a risk. But then, you know, it's portrait competition, so the face is probably the most important part.
I've started to do the background, constructing a Broadway scene around her. My biggest concern is overdoing the background. What could go wrong is not following my own advice.
Chris Packham, Arlene Phillips and Ali Jawad have been sitting for just over 2 hours.
Feeling a bit stiff?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think the sitters have a much, much tougher time. At least we can move.
Halfway through the day, how is it so far?
I'm feeling quite trepidatious today. There's some really promising work in the room.
Yeah, very special pieces, and we just get very worried that they're not going to fulfil their potential.
Let's talk about the portraits of Ali.
They are all splendid, and they are all incredibly different. So Ikra started with this divine miniature. It is so fine, and she's found this perfect balance in the oval. It's just fantastic.
It seems to me that Mary's was outstanding from the start.
I mean, I think Mary's painting's lovely. She's chosen this low-down position, which does give him this monumentality, but I think she's fussing with the likeness, and I think she should just go with what she's got and just get it done, because time's not on her side now.
Well, let's look at the portraits of Chris Packham. We've got Natasha, we've got Mark, and we've got Catherine.
It's interesting, in Chris's section, of course, it is overwhelmingly brown, and Chris has got this extraordinary top where he's accentuated, is even more brown, and the artists are responding accordingly.
Mark is a very interesting artist, and I love that he has this particular aspect, which is sort of geometric. The likeness is quite harsh, but it's good and it's interesting.
Well, Arlene is sitting remarkably still for a dancer. And we've got Adrian, Neka, and Jacqueline. Each of them highly different from the others.
I think Adrian is an example of an artist driven by the materiality or the stuff he uses, and he enjoys, using inks. And now there's a pinning down is happening, and it is changing in flavour.
And Neka, well, it's a theatre set.
Yes, it is a theatre set. And with Neka's portrait earlier today, when the theatre set wasn't there, I found there was a poignancy to it, and I don't know where that came from. But now that the theatre set's gone in, I'm worried that it's lost something of that figure sort of lost in space.
We'll have to see what happens.
I am sadly not good at art, and actually came bottom of the class when I was told my picture looked like a spider had put ink on its feet and crawled all over the page. So I am in awe of artists.
When I create things, I pontificate about it for months. I don't normally manifest the discipline to sit down and finish something in 4 hours. So, from my perspective, it's remarkable.
So usually I don't look very presentable, so I wanted to look very presentable today. My outfit was for an awards ceremony, and I've not worn it since. I think the suit does bring out my my muscles, I guess. Probably because it's too tight. It should be a bit looser.
His muscles in that suit are bursting to get out, and he's got very powerful shoulders, so that message has to come through. But it's a good challenge.
Ali's beautiful. What can I say?
Thank you.
You put that beautiful grey wash of Ali's jacket in. You're not going to put the pattern in, are you?
I'm going to. I hope I have 1 hour.
And it's so fine, so the precision comes from how calm your hand is.
Yeah. When I create a line, I hold my breath to make it straight.
That is very scary.
Yeah, very scary.
Well, look, I must say you're doing a beautiful job, and
Thank you.
carry on with the smallest brushes I think we've ever had on this competition.
Getting certain features right may be key to capturing a likeness.
Is that good enough? I don't know if that's good enough.
But a sitter's personal style is just as important for artists wanting to create a striking portrait.
Mark, I think we've given you a bit of a gift of a sitter. Chris is wearing this fantastic top. He's got probably a perfect haircut for you, I'd say.
Yes, it's a result. Again, I kind of see them as bits of architecture. I think you can have fun with things like hair.
Ali's actually quite difficult in some ways because he has no hair on his head, but he has hair on his face. And that's the wrong way around for painting, really.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You got your hair the wrong way round, Ali.
Yeah.
Did it on purpose. Before I challenge you.
But yeah, it's not the easiest necessarily to paint.
Now look here, young Adrian, what's going on with that hair?
Yes, it's very blue, isn't it? I think it just looks really nice as an underpainting, as a colour kind of shining through. It's the kind of colour you would not associate with realistic portraiture. You would never imagine that a blue colour like that would look. But I think it works quite well. I think I'm going for a more punk side of it. I think she's got.
She'll be fascinated to see it. It's just the sort of thing she like. The artists have just under half an hour to go.
Neka, I'm sensing frustration.
I wouldn't say frustration. I've kind of put all my ideas out there and I'm happy with what I have.
Right.
But now, my biggest concern is netting it become too busy. I need to be careful.
The way I paint, I'm constantly trying to find the features in the person, and I really lost her. So, you know, a little bit panic stations, but I can see her coming back, so steady again.
He's got quite spiky hair, so I'm able to just do quick brush strokes. And he mentioned something about crazy colors, so I added a bit of blue, which I thought would be a cool touch.
I don't want to leave the suit plain, but it has very delicate lines, so I'm hoping it will complete on time.
It's all a bit tight, so what I'm going to do is try and loosen it up with a roller. Might make a terrible mess. We'll see. It's very much make or break.
Today's artists are approaching the end of their 4-hour challenge, painting Arlene Phillips, Ali Jawad and Chris Packham.
So, tell me what's wrong with the brush?
It's that I put thought into the construction lines. They get obliterated by the paint, and I want to put them back in.
Construction is the key word with you, isn't it?
It is, I'm afraid, yeah.
No,
yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
I really want to reiterate some of these shapes, and then my plan is to kind of panic. Yeah, that's usually my plan, panic.
Artists, you have 5 minutes left.
Ooh. I'm putting the background in quite badly because that's all I've got time to do. I think, like most people, I'm probably feeling like I could do with 20 minutes to go, but I'm not unhappy with what I've managed.
In the last minutes, I'm doing a lot of praying, basically. I think I've definitely got a likeness, definitely my style. More time would have been great, but hey ho, that's the nature of the beast, I'm afraid, isn't it?
Artists, your time is up. Please put down your equipment and stand back from your portraits.
Arlene, this is a nerve-wracking moment, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, I've got butterflies.
OK, well, I won't keep you in suspense any longer then. Artists, can I please ask you to turn your easels?
It's quite an emotional experience, isn't it? To see 3 of me looking back at me.
Right, should we have a closer look?
Yeah.
Are you OK?
Yeah, I am.
Adrian.
This takes me back. I can see that ambition there and the way I thought no one could say anything to me. I was going to do it first. There's so much in here, but the figure is so me. It's just the way I look at the end of a day of work.
Oh, thank you so much.
This one is smashing into my heart because my mum died when I was 15. And that could be my mum looking out. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
Thank you so much.
What a lovely
It's
reaction.
wonderful.
I'm afraid, Arlene, you know what's coming. I'm going to have to ask you to pick one now.
I feel it would be brave to take Jacqueline's, but I feel like I need to live now. So I want to take Necker's.
Thank you.
Ali, this is a very exciting moment. I'm going to ask all the artists to turn round your easels.
Oh, wow. You made me look better than what I am, thank you.
Mary did Head and Shoulders.
I wanted to emphasize the neck because you have such a powerful
neck.
That's the first time anyone said that to me, so thank you. You got my nose perfect, because my nose is bent, so you got, like, I'm glad you drew it bent. Thank you.
Well, it was fun to do.
Now, Ikra has done a wonderful miniature, which is exquisitely detailed.
Yeah, it's amazing, the detail you've got in there. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Well, now, there comes a moment at which you have to choose.
They're all absolutely incredible. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to side with Mary's one.
Chris, how did you find that?
Well, I achieved a lot mentally, I think.
Oh, did you?
If I can put into practice everything that I've thought about for the last 4 hours, I would have made significant progress.
Okay. Well, artists, can I ask you please to turn your easels?
Wow, yes. Amazing.
Let's go and have a closer
let's have a look. I just don't know how you've done that in 4 hours, Natasha. I really, really don't. Yeah, really, really good.
Thank you, Natasha. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Mark?
I mean, obviously, I like the geometry and the colours. The colours are sort of cigars and brandy. I can catch a whiff. Yeah, sensational. It's got a sort of a sticky sweetness to it, a bit like sticking your finger into a jar of golden syrup and swirling it around. It's got all of that sort of movement. Yeah, I quite like that a lot.
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to make you choose one now.
The one that I'm going to choose is the one that I think I'm drawn to because of a part of my character, which is about meticulous analysis. So I'm going to go for Mark's.
Hello, Mark.
As the artists unwind, the judges consider the work produced today.
I think all three artists dealt with the colour of Chris and the background fantastically well. And I think Kathy particularly made this brown a real asset. And I like the aspect that she caught of Chris.
Mark's version of Chris, that is a very dynamic Chris, and he hasn't hidden the workings of the painting, and I like that.
It's got this rigidity with all the geometry, but there's also freedom. He sort of doesn't obey all the rules.
I think Natasha worked with the colour range that she had today very well. I don't think the likeness is quite there. She's one of our younger artists, and I think it was quite a challenge for her, but she's given us a very complete painting.
I love Jacqueline's reduced portrait of Arlene.
It's sensitive. It's not, well, I was going to say it's not overly shouty, but then we've got the yellow line around it, which sort of does something completely different. But I can see why she did it.
Necker can get people so quickly, and I think she wants to do more than that, doesn't she? She wants to go beneath the skin.
And even though I think the stage set is very real, I worry that she overloaded the work with too much information.
I mean, Adrian's Arlene shows an incredible skill at playing with the material of the paint and being able to make stuff up.
I suppose the only thing for me is I'm not really sure about how wild and undone the hair is, in contrast with how perfect the face is.
I think Ikra did a fantastic job. She's transcended the tradition whilst keeping the key elements there.
And what is extraordinary is she has the power of the man.
I love Martin's use of colour, and this was a gift of a set. The main problem I have really is actually the physicality, that we've lost so much of the identity of the sitter.
Mary's profile of Ali shows a powerful man.
The more I look at this, the more I love it. That block of the jacket, the block of the dusky red, but then, of course, all the detail is in the actual face. It's so well put together.
So you like it, then?
I quite like this one.
The judges must get 9 portraits down to a short list of 3.
Blimey, OK, where do we start?
Can we just move those two just slightly off and just focus on these and see if we feel that we have enough there?
OK, these together.
Yeah, because actually once you see these 3, you realise it's very difficult for the others to compete.
It's unusual, isn't it, as well? That's what I really like about it.
Yeah.
Of course, what it does mean is that the next stage is going to be really horrendous.
But, I mean, what a nice position to be in, and all 3 very cool artists.
Artists, hats off to each one of you for doing so well under pressure.
After examining your work, the judges have chosen an initial shortlist of 3. The first artist is Ikra Tariq. The second artist is Mark Oliver. The third artist to be shortlisted is Mary Shepperson.
I'm feeling so elated that Arlene chose my portrait. So I feel like I've won, even if I might not have. It was a really lovely experience.
Well, 3 artists left. They painted 3 fine self-portraits, and none of them have deviated too much from that successful formula.
The work has the same strengths, but also showing us what else they can do with different colours, different tones.
I think we disadvantaged the artists who were painting Chris Packham because we gave them that very brown background.
I think it was a difficult background, but Mark used it to really bring out some of the features in the face, the way he painted that yellow fabric. It's just sensational.
Yeah, I realise in looking at both of his works is that he plays with the geometry, but he doesn't take it so far that it becomes unbelievable.
Ikra gave us a very refined miniature of Ali.
I'm surprised how Ikra, in this very small pictorial world of hers, can really capture the physical shape and feel of a body. And she's done it in her self-portrait with the tilt of her head. And today with her portrait of Ali, it's just the way the head sits on the shoulders. We don't see the rest of him, but here we get a forceful, strong man.
Mary has given us a very handsome, very noble Ali.
And I think that it's a really interesting likeness because she was absolutely dead set on staying low and giving us that monumentality. And she's done it using these really good-looking paint marks. Her self-portrait had this fantastic lightness of touch, and I think she's taken it even further today with Ali.
A lot of it is about stylization. That highlight on the nose shouldn't really work, but it's just one of the most beautiful noses in history.
Wow, in history?
In history.
So, a decision to be made.
An impossible one.
Mark, Ikra, Mary, it's no small achievement to have got this far. However, only one of you can go forward to the semi-final.
The artists that the judges have selected brought to bear their distinctive style to produce an arresting portrait. That artist is Mark Oliver.
Wow. Oh, it's an absolute accolade, isn't it? I mean, to be shortlisted was fantastic. To win is mind-blowing.
It's really meant quite a lot. I mean, it's made me take my art seriously, which I really didn't before. It's been an amazing day.
Mark has done an exceptional job. His color palette is so unique and his strokes are so different. So well done to him.
Mark gave us fantastic self-portrait. So to see the way in which he constructed Chris, using the same principles but toning them down, it's only going to be good going forward.
I guess I'm coming back, aren't I? And then I think more immediately there may be some alcohol required. So, and some sleep.